This week, we're hopping into the world of Final Fantasy, plus we got some new features coming to the Xbox app and Epic Game Store, so let's just go ahead, together, as a people, and check it out! And welcome to another sensational Sunday. I'm Mike, and we are going to hop right into it with the gaming news. So I want to do my little Final Fantasy update because, to be honest, I don't talk about individual games too much in the news section because if I did, it would take forever. But there is something very important that was announced, very near and dear to my heart. I've mentioned it a few times over the years on the channel, but it's a game that was sentenced to death on a dead system that is finally being brought back, and it's being brought back everywhere. It's going to be on Xbox, it's going to be on Switch, it's going to be on PC, PlayStation, everywhere, and that is Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII. So they're doing a remaster of Crisis Core, which the game, gameplay-wise, is still pretty good. It's actually a lot closer to modern Final Fantasy VII anyway. It was already kind of an active battle system with this weird DMW thing. It's a weird slot machine style thing to do specials and stuff. I liked it. In fact, I didn't just like it. I loved that game. Like, that was what really got me into Final Fantasy VII in the first place, because by the time I was aware of what Final Fantasy VII was, although the graphics were too terrible for me to go back and play. I'm sorry. Even when I was like a teenager, and this would have been maybe like in the early 2000s, I thought the graphics were horrible even then. So I couldn't go back and play it. I can never go back and play Final Fantasy VII. But when Crisis Core came out on PSP in 2008, that was what got me into that world. And then now that the remakes came out and I've played through the first part of the remake, I'm super excited for what's coming next, which they did also announce with the remake that part 2 is coming next year in 2023, winter 2023. So until then, we're going to have Crisis Core because that's dropping this winter. That can hold us off until we get part 2. I definitely recommend, if you've never played Crisis Core, to go back and play it. Like if you never had a PSP, it is an awesome game. I love the story in that game, and it really sets everything up for the events of Final Fantasy VII. So I'm super excited about it. Like, Crisis Core for me was one of my favorite PSP games of all time. In fact, I was just playing it earlier this year. I still have my PSP with Crisis Core, so I still periodically go back and play it. I'm probably going to get the PC version since I already have my GPD Win, and I should have my Steam Deck by then, hopefully. So I'll be able to play it portable as well. If I didn't have the Win, I'll probably get the Switch version. To me, it's always going to feel like a portable game, but at least with the PC version, I can play it on the bigger screen if I want to. Plus, I'm going to have the portability. So that's just me personally. But if I didn't have a handheld PC, I would definitely be getting it on Switch. Speaking of the Switch, they're just playing mind games with me because now I got to go through another game announcement, and that is Pokémon Snap. That was another game from my childhood that I loved. So that's coming to Nintendo Switch Online on the 24th as part of their higher tier of Switch Online service, which I do not have, and I'm still not getting because I don't feel like it's worth that much of a price increase. I really didn't talk about it extensively. I know before, when they announced they're bringing N64 games to the higher tier, and I was like, oh, I'm excited about it, especially if F-Zero's up there, then blah, 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 I'm gonna get it. But then when they announced the pricing, I was like, never mind. It was like $50 for a single person, or $80 for family, I believe, and we pay like $35 for family right now. And that's just too big of a price increase for a few N64 games. This one I am excited about. This will kind of tip me over to it a little bit more, but I still feel like they don't have enough games for the money. But that is kind of a big get. I love the original Pokemon Snap, so if you haven't checked that out and you do have the higher tier of Switch Online, that'll be available on the 24th. Now let's hop over to the PC section so we can talk about a few of these new features coming to the Xbox app and to the Epic Game Store. Let's start with the Xbox app first. So if you're not familiar with the Xbox app, it's basically the app that you can download on PC if you're subscribed to Game Pass, or if you just want to buy games through the Xbox Store on PC. But they're going to come out with a feature where basically it's going to tell you how the game will perform on your PC before you download it. So it's going to collect data, or it probably already has the data, basically, of what hardware someone's running the game on and how it performs. So they're going to use that data to be like, okay, well, you have this hardware, the game's probably going to run like this on your computer. And that might save somebody time from either downloading the game if you're downloading it on Game Pass, or if you're buying the game and you're like, you know what, this is going to run like dirt on my computer, I might as well just not buy it. So I think that's actually a smart feature. I am surprised that Steam has not done that yet. There was a site that I used to go to. It was like, can you run it? That's not what the site's actually called. I forgot the URL is, but I used to go there all the time back when I had a not so great PC to see if it met the minimum requirements, and that bases it off of your hardware versus minimum requirements. But this would be a little bit better because minimum requirements don't always tell the full story. Sometimes you can be under and they'll still run. I think something like this would be a lot better for determining if you can actually run the game or not, because it'll be based off of real world hardware and performance versus off of the recommended specs that come out with the game. So hopefully Steam and even Epic Games Store borrow something like this or steals this feature, because I think it's a really cool feature to have, and they'll probably somewhat reduce refunds, especially if they have something like that for Steam. Speaking of the Epic Games Store, in our final story, they are finally getting a much needed feature, which is user reviews. And to be honest, I didn't realize that they didn't have user reviews already. Like, they're not really that new anymore. I figured by now they would have user reviews. The one thing they wanted to focus on with their review system is people not being able to review bomb a game just because they're upset about something that has nothing to do with the game. So the way that they're going to do it is they're going to do randomized user reviews. So not every user will be able to review the game. Certain users that buy the game will be given the option to review it. It's going to be on a random basis. And then they don't want to do it for like everybody with every game. So they're going to try to randomize that way they're not bothering people. And then sometimes they'll also get a survey to ask how the game's performing, etc. So that's how Epic is going to handle user reviews. And it probably is a better system. The only thing I'm concerned about is, like, for a smaller game where the user reviews really do matter, is them getting the participation that they need. Because usually with random surveys and random, reviews, like someone asks you to do a survey and people will hit no a lot of the times. The people that usually want to engage with the reviews might not be able to, because if they don't get picked, they don't get picked. And then a lot of people that get picked might not even want to engage with it, just might just be like, whatever, I don't want to review this. So hopefully this works out and they'll get enough reviews, especially on those smaller games. I think it's a really interesting idea to prevent stuff like they said, review bombing. Like, there are certain scenarios where maybe someone did something bad at a company and as a result they go and review bomb a game, and the game really has nothing to do with the person that did X at this company. So I can definitely understand where Epic's coming from that scenario with their user reviews. And in this scenario, I'm bringing this video to a conclusion, but let me know what you think. Are you excited to play Crisis Core? Have you played it before? Are you excited for Pokemon Snap on Nintendo Switch Online? Do you think the Xbox app telling you how a game will perform is a good feature? And do you think like Steam and Epic should steal that? Also, do you think the way Epic is handling user reviews is better than Steam's review system? Let me know in the comments. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, but if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to tell a friend, tell a coworker, like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell notification to get notified when I drop a video. And I always do at least 2 things at the same time. Peace.